everyone. It is Wednesday, March 25th. Holy cow, we're almost done with March already. It is time now for Supernatural News and Parashare here on the best in paranormal podcasting, Darkness Radio. I'm your host, Tim Dennis, and we have a little bit of a lineup switch this week. So Mally Fox is indisposed this week, so we need to bring in a co-host. And of course, we reach our hand across the Twin Cities and we pull up a nugget. Not the kind of nugget you're thinking of. We pull up a positive nugget, of course. We reach out and grab our supernatural sexy daddy himself, the combat rev, Travis Thorpe. Hi, Travis. How are you?
Ooh, forehead smoochies, Timmy.
Yeah, I need a couple of them this week. I'm having one of them weeks. Yeah, I didn't fill people in this weekend, but boy, I had a rough weekend. So yeah, I'm kind of recuperating. Holy cow, am I having a rough week? But yeah, I'm coming down off a rough weekend. I'll tell you just briefly why. And for those of you who take Mounjaro, I learned a little tip or trick from my cardiologist, which I don't know if this is good or bad, but if you've been on it for a while, it starts to lose its efficacy, okay? So he tells me, and by the way, he sounds like Artie Johnson from the old Laugh-In show. I know if you're really old, you get this joke. If not, you don't. But, he has the old German accent like this, which I always thought was a made-up accent. I always thought he was ribbing me, right, when I go in to see him. So I had my, believe it or not, it's been 3 years since I've had heart surgery already.
Wow.
Yeah. I had my 3-year checkup, right? So I go in to see him, and he goes, I'm very impressed with the weight loss and everything you've been doing. You've been very good with your diet and everything. But, according to the new standard for the Mounjaro, you should be losing at least 20% of your weight when you start. And you haven't quite lost 20%. I think you could get more out of this medication. I'm like, I could? And he goes, yeah. And I'm like, dude, I've lost like 50 pounds, right? He's like, yeah. I think you could lose a little bit more, maybe 20 more, maybe 20 or 30. And I'm like, I'd love that. Yeah. What should I do? And he goes, well, I was at this conference and they were saying there's a new way you can inject it to get more out of your shot. And I'm like, oh, how's that? And he goes, well, instead of in the thigh or in your stomach, you can you take into your pinch right here. And if you're watching on video, you're seeing that I'm grabbing this area right above. If you're a guy, it's right above your chest, right in the
pectoral muscle.
Yeah, the pectoral muscle, right where the armpit is. There's this little fatty deposit right to the outside of the armpit, right above the pectoral muscle. And if you grab this area right here, you pinch a good bit of that fatty deposit, which for most of us who are overweight, there's a good amount of it. If you grab that and you got a good amount of it, you can just take and stick the needle there and, depress the plunger down and count to 10 or whatever and put it in there. So that's what I always take my shot on Friday night. Well, then Saturday after work up at KNSI, right? This past Saturday. Oh boy, did it work. It worked like the first time I'd ever taken the drug. So really? I was sick to my stomach. I felt like I was burning up, like I had a 104-degree fever. I felt like, I had flop sweats. I felt like I took the highest dose you could ever take of Mounjaro the first time you'd ever taken it. It was bad. In fact, it was so bad, immediately after my shift at KNSI, I collapsed at the board and slept for half an hour.
Holy cow.
Yeah, it was not good.
Are you sure it was Mounjaro?
I hope it was. Yeah, I hope I wasn't taking something illegal. I hope they didn't mix up something in the box. But then when I finally woke up at the board, I was like, I got to get home. I hope nobody saw me sleeping at the board. So I finished up my ceremonial duties there at the radio station, and then it took off. But yeah, I mean, it produced a few other ill effects I shouldn't talk about on air. But then I got home and I pretty much slept the day away because I was that dehydrated and out of it. And Yeah, it was bad. And then all day Sunday, I was trying to recuperate. I mean, it was that bad too. So I finally started to feel like myself Monday.
Before long, you're going to be 90 pounds and fitting into your prom dress again.
I hope so. Yes. Yeah. Because I looked damn good in that prom dress. I mean, I had to shave my back for a week to look somewhat good, but you know. So there's that. But yeah, I've been out of sorts all week. I haven't been myself. But I could tell Dr. Meyer, by gosh, it worked. So they weren't just whistling Dixie at that conference. Yeah. I'm just afraid of Friday's shot. That's all. But luckily, I don't have to work up there this Saturday. So,
man,
yeah,
it's giving you the hot flashes and everything. But I mean, I guess I'll take that over running 7 miles. So
I felt like I was turned into a werewolf, brother. I'm telling you, it was like I thought. You know, I mean, I would have grown hair on my head. That would have been fun. But other than that, I mean,
be the werewolf with alopecia.
Yeah. I went outside to check for a full moon. I was like, what's going on here? What the hell's happening to me? It's horrible.
Oh, man.
But if for those of you who are using Mounjaro, there you go. If you're losing your efficacy on the shot, there's a new place to try it. Buyer beware.
Darkness Radio does not condone the use of black tar heroin in the same area.
Yeah, that's right. Be careful where you use your shots, kids. Listen to me. Sounded like a hardcore drug addict over here.
I fell asleep at the panel and everything.
I did. I just fell right out to the sweet sounds of Freddie Bell and the Barbecue Radio Network. I was like,
it felt just like the first time.
It did. I got that rush, brother. I got that rush. Then all of a sudden, and here's the kicker. I lost 9 pounds in one day. That was the other thing.
In one day?
In one day.
Man, exercises for the birds. Sign me up.
I woke up on Sunday 9 pounds lighter. I was like, okay, I guess Doc had something on that, didn't he?
Holy cow.
Telling you. I mean, I had to go through hell for it, but I woke up 9 pounds lighter.
Dear Minneapolis, VA.
Right. I hear there's this new drug you can mainline. So, yeah. I thought, hey, that's a heck of a deal. On the big, oh, by the way, what's going on with you? We haven't talked to you in a few weeks. So what's new in your life?
I mean, same old, same old. I mean, I, continue to be this awesome trophy wife or, trophy husband or, daddy daycare or, whatever.
Nice.
Doing, dance dad stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Taking my daughter to dance, which, by the way, you have a new fan.
Really?
One of the other dance dads. I was talking with him while the kids were dancing, and I was like, yeah, every once in a while I do some podcasting and whatnot. He's like, oh, what? So I let him onto the show, and he came back like a week later. He was like, that was awesome. Oh my God, I have it playing in the shop, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. So
nice.
You got a new fan. So hello, Dance Dad.
Hello, Dance Dad. Yeah, great to have you aboard. Love having you aboard. So yeah, that's great. That's great. Well, we just need more dance dads on board. That's all we need.
More dance dads.
That's right.
Maybe if I get some Mounjaro, I can get up on the stage and dance too.
You know what? If we get more dance dads, I'm bringing the juice boxes. So there you go. I'll drop by. I would do that. Good. Yeah, I would do that. I would definitely do that. On the big program today, boy, oh boy, we're loaded with. I'll tell you, Rev, we're loaded with UFO news today and lots of semi-conspiracy news when it comes to this stuff. I'm telling you, the government tells us, look over here why we got stuff going on, but there might be stuff going on over here that we want to think about why it's going on, because it's a combination of things that have been going on behind the scenes that make us wonder. So we'll jump into that here in just a second, because it is very, very intriguing stuff. In AI news today, boy, oh boy, interesting stuff as well. I'll tell you this much. AI has now made up its own prosecution team. We'll tell you about that today in the state of Georgia.
Wow.
Yeah, it's now going after people in the state of Georgia. We'll tell you about that when we get on today. We'll tell you about a story from a week or two ago about William Shatner actually getting into an accident. Captain Kirk had to have some surgery. A story that I promised you from last week about a ghost grabbing a celebrity from overseas, grabbing her leg while she was aboard the Queen Mary. Brocard had a ghost experience, so we will talk about that. One scientist or a group of scientists move one step closer to reviving a cryopreserved brain. So maybe we can freeze people and bring them back.
Wow.
It's a possibility. So you're saying there's a chance. And among other things, we'll talk about one of my favorite little animals, a capybara or capybara. You decide, and how it's giving a team the runaround in England. That's coming up as well today, and our palate cleanser today. Treat it like you don't need it. That's the message in our palate cleanser today. We're going to talk about a 15-year-old and why he needs to just settle down.
Okay.
Yeah, that's going to be our palate cleanser today. We might have to break out a couple of cigars, put this kid around the fire, and explain to him why he needs to
settle down a little bit.
Treat it like he doesn't need it. But first, before we get into the stories, let me tell you real quick, folks. Expedition Files debuts April 1st on Discovery and on streaming. It's Josh Gates' new project. It's part of the Expedition line of programming. I got a chance to get a sneak peek at it this past week. So I want to tell you a little bit about it and give you a little bit of a review because I was impressed. Expedition Files kind of takes that, it's Josh's new project in that it takes a bit of history and combines it with, it's one of those, what would you call the program here, Travis? It's one of those, a reenactment show, but it's also a history show. So it's basically taking points in history, but it's also looking for a further angle. So it's not alternate history. What's that?
Like a deep dive?
Yes, it's right. So for an example, in the first episode, it takes 3 subjects over an hour. It took the subject of the scorpion, right? Was the scorpion really lost or did something actually happen to it? And it goes behind why something actually happened to the scorpion and brings up some evidence as to what exactly happened to the scorpion, which is nice. The second subject is John Wilkes Booth. And did he actually survive the supposed incident in the barn? Because if you remember, there's a man who claims he was John Wilkes Booth and had survived that incident. And that there was an actual tour of his mummified body. So there was a comparison of the 2 bodies. You find out about that in the episode. I won't spoil anything.
Yeah, no spoiler alerts.
And then the third has to do with Paul Revere's ride and the actual truth behind that. So it's a really fascinating episode. And what's nice and what's really interesting and what Josh has done different than anything else that you've seen on television is they not only take found footage and real footage, but they mix Josh in with AI footage. So he'll walk into an actual pub, like a British pub, where you see these Americans plotting against the British. And he'll say, you see that man right there? They're plotting right now against the British. And so he's actually interacting with different people in history.
So like immersive storytelling.
Yeah, immersive storytelling, which is really, really cool, which is a nice use, I think, of AI, or a really good use of AI. At the same time, he's interviewing people, if he can, that have actually been there at the scene at the time. He has one man who worked on the scorpion who has a really, really interesting piece of evidence about what happened to the scorpion. And it's pretty damning. And he actually interviews that person But what's interesting again is interloping that AI footage in with actual pictures, and then so it's seamless the way that they do it, the way that the editing team has put everything together, and it's a really nice package. Everything put together is an extremely nice package. I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. So out of 5 stars, I'd say 4.5 out of 5. I really, really liked it. I think it's a really promising concept. I think, and it moves very quickly. I think you guys are going to like how quickly the stories move. So
I feel like if Gates and I had a love child, I'd name it Mountain Dew Jr.
Mountain Dew Jr.? Really? That's an odd name for a child. MDJR? But check your local listings for the time it airs in your area on Discovery. But it's Expedition Files, the new show with Josh Gates. So there you go. I loved it. I thought it was a reenactment shows sometimes, and along with sometimes with alternate history, sometimes might lose some people. I like the fact that this takes a hard look and gives you some hard answers, on top of the fact that they've taken a new route of how they present things. So I really liked it.
Very immersive. And like you said, a very good use of AI as opposed to what I do with AI.
I don't know. I'm kind of entertained by what you do with AI as well. So yeah, check it out. All right, let's get to the news. And we'll start with interstellar news today. Oh boy. Let's just start right away with what the government's telling us first, and then we'll dive into what's actually happening. We'll start with Anna Paulina Luna, who's offering us an update on the Trump UFO files release. And you tell me what you think you believe out of what's being told to us. The U.S. representative has provided a few words hinting at what might be going on behind the scenes. Back in February, President Donald Trump made the unexpected decision to order federal agencies to begin releasing the government files on aliens and the UFO phenomenon. Since then, we've been keeping an eye out for any sign that this might be actually happening. Now, according to U.S. Representative Anna Paulina Luna, who currently chairs the task force on the declassification of federal secrets, that's the name of the department, by the way. I bet you didn't know that had a name. Not only is it likely that the release will go ahead, but there may even be some video footage included in that defies explanation, they're saying. Interesting. I think they're very serious about doing it, she told Jillian Michaels on Keeping It Real. As soon as we get the official on-paper declassification order, I want to do a press conference with all the information that we are told and shown, she said. That's the key phrase at the end, that we are told and shown. Right?
Yep.
Right. That said, she also noted that the release is unlikely to include absolutely everything on UFOs. That's the other thing. Notice there's little hints and dibs and drabs about what you're actually going to see. I think you're going to get a lot of cool stuff, but I don't think that there's going to be ever the full admission, she said. The federal government telling you that, or what to believe, she went on to say. They'll release it, but they're not going to tell you what to make of it. A few days ago, we reported that this according to unexplained mysteries.com. They said they reported that the U.S. government had seemingly registered 2 new domain names. We'll tell you about that in a minute. Presumably to host a website pertaining to the released files. As for precisely when we expect to see the files, that remains unclear. Now, I want to tell you about another congressman who's out there who doesn't seem to think we're going to get much of anything at all. That would be Congressman Tim Burchett, who's out there accusing NASA of lying about UFOs, as he claims the agency is hiding classified alien craft files. Here's what's going on there. Congressman Tim Burchett claims that the agency possesses classified information about unidentified flying objects and possibly alien craft, directly challenging NASA's repeated denials. His remarks have reignited longstanding suspicions and raised a pressing question at the heart of the debate. Is NASA truly hiding the truth about UFOs? Now, during a recent television appearance, Burchett did not hold back. As a member of the House Oversight Committee, He has been involved in reviewing reports on unidentified aerial phenomena. According to him, NASA's public stance does not match what has been discussed behind closed doors. He claimed that in private meetings, officials acknowledged studying unusual craft and phenomena, but insisted that certain findings remain classified. The lying that goes on in these departments, Burchett said, criticizing that he described as a culture of secrecy. He further alleged that NASA has data it cannot share with the public, suggesting that sensitive information about UFOs is being deliberately withheld. Such claims are not entirely new, but the fact that they come from a sitting congressman with oversight responsibilities adds weight to this controversy. At the center of Burchett's argument is the belief that NASA has conducted deeper research with UFOs than it admits publicly. While the agency has acknowledged the existence of unexplained aerial sightings, it has consistently maintained that it has no confirmed evidence of extraterrestrial technology. However, Burchett's account paints a different picture. He suggests that classified files exist detailing encounters or studies of craft that cannot be easily explained. If true, this would imply that NASA's public messaging is incomplete at best. The issue of classification is key. Government agencies often restrict information for national security reasons, especially if it involves advanced technology or potential threats. Critics argue that such secrecy fuels speculation, while supporters claim it is necessary to prevent panic or misuse of sensitive information. Perhaps the most striking aspect of the controversy is the claim that potential whistleblowers are afraid to come forward. Burchett suggests that individuals with knowledge of UFO programs fear serious consequences, even hinting at threats for their safety. While there is no publicly verified evidence to support extreme claims of harm, the idea that insiders may feel intimidated adds another layer of intrigue. Historically, whistleblowers in various sectors have faced professional and legal risks, which can discourage disclosure. I'll tell you this much, Travis. I know Tim Burchett's not one to mince words. He came out, and again, we don't talk politics, or try not to talk politics on the show, but he came out about a week and a half ago and basically called the extreme gas price hikes bullshit and explained to you exactly what happens when oil is refined into gas, and tells you why these extreme hikes are unnecessary. And he did it while he was filling up his truck, and he explained it on X. And said, this is how it's refined. This is where the price hikes happen, and this is why they shouldn't happen. And it was very eloquent as to why oil companies are just getting over right now and taking advantage of a situation. And as one who's in charge of oversights, he would know. Right.
Right. Well, and while that can be and is most likely true, okay, there is also a veil of illusion that can be cast because of a position of authority, right? Mm-hmm. And we also have to be mindful of that, whether we're talking A or B on the side of it, right? You have a title, you have an important role, a job that has an oversight to it, right? Whatever you say, it's the trust me, bro.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We just have to trust whatever you're saying because you're sitting in this position of authority. But hey, you can't see it because it's classified, but I've seen it behind closed doors. So trust me, bro. Right. Yep. Yep. There is also that end that we have to take into account. And hey, look, I agree with his side of things that I think there is a lot of secret programs, whether it's special access programs or, controlled access programs. We know that happens. We know that is a thing. That is a fact that happens where there are people within the chain of command and oversight that don't even know about these programs. The president, in some cases, doesn't even know about the programs, right?
Right.
And so if you have a special access program or a controlled access program, which our government has not even denied is a thing, right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of these things are just out there in the ether, and we will never know about it.
Right.
Right. Because they're in these little clandestine pockets out there. right? So the hope that the general public has that, hey, president said, hey, we're revealing all of it, doesn't mean you're getting all of it.
Right.
And even in that language, they were saying on UFOs, but then they reclassified everything UAPs
Yes.
about 6 years ago.
Yes.
So keyword, you're probably getting everything from 1950 all the way up until about 6 years ago, and you're not going to get anything else. You know?
Right. Or even I would say not even 6 years ago. I would say probably from about 1990. Or 2000, and then everything from 2000 forward they could classify as being a UAP.
Yeah,
and
you're probably going to get like the Nimitz and the Arizona lights, the Phoenix lights, and that's going to be like the most exciting video that you're probably going to get. The most compelling video that's going to get released from that. They're going to go, oh yeah, make your own conclusion about it.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
and I think it'll be a lot like with the Epstein files, where they end up doing a huge dump. And then a bunch of talking pieces and, independent media and YouTube and everything else. And they go, oh, that was a mistake.
Yeah. And take it off the table. Yeah.
Yep.
Again, not to get too political because we're not a political show, but you saw that with Epstein files dumps, you saw a lot of things initially get released and then you saw some things taken away.
Yep.
And, sometimes they were taken away with no explanation whatsoever.
And even with that as a primary example, because again, like you said, we're not getting political here. This is just, we're drawing a comparison here, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
How many of those very select committee members were allowed to go into a SCIF and get their hands on those documents and read some of those documents? But even in the SCIF where they had the ability to do it, they were saying, nope, you can't read that. Nope, we're redacting that. But we're not supposed to have a redacted version. It's supposed to be unredacted. Right. We're in the SCIF.
Right.
Doesn't matter. You're not getting it.
Yep.
What?
Yeah.
If they're the oversight and they're the ones that are supposed to be able to see it and they're even being told no and there's no check and balance, then why do we expect it to be any different with this?
Right. Yeah, you're right. And even then, like we were talking before the show, this is why I chuckle at the, you've got Anna Paulina Luna talking about, you're going to get select things. She's already front loading everything. You're only going to get selected things, which means you're not going to get anything about cattle mutilations. You're not going to get anything about the supposed alien human hybrid experiments or anything like that. You're not going to get, abduction stuff. You're not going to get any of that. You're going to get flying craft in the sky. That's what you're going to get. Strange lights in the sky.
I remain hopeful because I remember a clutch full of years ago, there was the release on the FBI archives.gov of all the Nikola Tesla stuff. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were saying that he was a Venetian, he was from Venus or something like that.
Yes.
And that's a pretty absurd thing. I couldn't believe they unclassified that and just threw it up in their archives. And, so maybe we will luck out and it will be something along that vein where they're like, hey, decide for yourself.
Maybe. But again, if they throw that up there, you may get, again, I'll draw the parallel. Much like with the Epstein files, there was disclaimers in the Epstein files. You may get disclaimers in these alien files saying, we think this is coming from an outside source that we deem not credible, right?
Right.
They may say we don't think it's a credible source, but here it is anyways. So, tread at your own demise, or however you want to put it. Don't take it at face value. Although people will, they're going to read these files and they're going to take everything at face value. So you can't tell someone don't take it at face value because they will.
Oh, and inevitably it's going to be like, what was that? The Stanford thing where they were all wearing the lab coats and torturing each other and everything. Right. And why did you do that? Well, because, position of authority, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's inevitably going to be a very large volume of people that as soon as they see it, they're going to take it as gospel because it was released by the government. They've been hiding this for so long and now they released it. So this has got to be true. Well, not necessarily. It just means it was a report, right? And a lot of that things is just people making a report or an observation, or I think I saw this, or somebody having a hallucination and reporting it, and they have to take the report and they document it, and it all goes into the pile.
Right.
Right.
You're very right. You're exactly right. Now, we had mentioned earlier in the broadcast that the U.S. government had registered alien.gov and aliens.gov as domain names, and that mystery is deepening as we speak. Now, you and I talked before the program again about blackvault.com and the fact that its servers had been wiped shortly after President Trump announced that, hey, we're releasing the files. And I thought it was very, very fishy that all of a sudden his site gets hit and his servers are wiped. Luckily, John kept a backup. Any smart, webmaster is going to keep a backup. But I think he keeps backups of backups of backups because he's worked for 20 plus years getting FOIA requests and in the most unusual places. I mean, he's told us on this very program, he's had to go to Canada and present his own credit card to get FOIA requests that the government has tried to hide in foreign countries. Well, rumors of impending alien disclosure are rife after the White House registered 2 mysterious new domain names. According to federal records, the U.S. government has added 2 see, I'm having, it's the Manjaro. Added 2 new, I'm going to end up growing a lizard tongue, aren't I? That's what's going to happen here. Has added 2 new domains to its portfolio this week, but these aren't any ordinary domains. They are a sign that something significant may be in the works. The 2 domains, alien.gov and aliens.gov, quickly attracted a great deal of press attention when generating speculation that a major release of UFO-related material may be about to happen. Again, back in February, President Trump ordered federal agencies to begin releasing the government's files on UFO and aliens. So it's possible that these 2 domains will be used to host a website through which members of the public will be able to access this information. If I got to lay even money down, it's a sanitized version of what you can find right now on blackvault.com in the alien section. Very much so. The news also comes around a month after UK filmmaker Mark Christopher Lee claimed that he had been told by a government insider that Trump had already written a speech disclosing the existence of intelligent extraterrestrial life. Initially, the speech was to be given during a United Nations address at some point later this year, but this was then changed to a July 8th date to coincide with the anniversary of the Roswell incident. According to the insider, Trump had been adamant that the speech should be associated with the infamous incident, which saw an alleged alien spacecraft crash on a ranch outside Roswell in 1947 because of its symbolic association with the UFO phenomenon. Now, again, I find it incredibly interesting that July 8th is Roswell, July 4th is our nation's birthday, 250 years, you're going to have this huge thing on the White House, or not the White House lawn, but around Washington. You're going to have the UFC event. You're going to have all these festivities going on late June, early July. And you wrap it all up by telling us, guess what? We're not alone. I just think it's unusual that it's all going to come down at the same time, right?
Yeah. I mean, unless there's a great reveal a month beforehand. As the star of Regulus meets the gaze of the Sphinx. Yes, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm just saying.
You could. But again, you have to register the domain no matter what. I mean, I don't think there's really a secret way to do it, but you got to register the domain in order to have it, right?
Right.
Government's got to have it. So they put it out there. Now, the other thing that came out before we went to air today, which, mind you, we record the day before you get this, is that NASA came out and finally said, in public, we've always known this in private, or we've speculated at least over the last few weeks, but finally publicly said, you know what? We claim the moon. It's ours, and we're going to build a base there.
America.
Fuck yeah. We might as well bring up what was it? Team America?
Team America World Police. Yeah,
that's it. NASA unveiled $20 billion moon base strategy. That was this afternoon. Tuesday afternoon. NASA is all in on the moon and plans to invest the money and resources necessary to build a permanent settlement on the lunar surface sooner rather than later. The space agency's ignition event, which was this afternoon or Tuesday afternoon at NASA headquarters in Washington, D.C., had NASA leaders presenting an ambitious $20 billion plan to return humans to the moon and build a permanent base there. According to NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman, he said NASA is committed to achieving the near impossible once again to return to the moon before the end of President Trump's term and build a moon base, establish an enduring presence, and do the other things needed to ensure American leadership in space. Keep in mind, folks, we're talking about 2 years now to get a moon base established. 2 years. That's ambitious. I don't know how you do it, but I guess so, because they were talking about moving up plans just to orbit with Artemis 2, orbit the moon, not necessarily put man on the moon yet. And now you're talking about a base in 2 years? I mean, that's aggressive, Travis.
That is pretty aggressive. However, though, I'm sitting here, the numbers didn't seem right to me.
20 billion seems pretty cheap, doesn't it?
Seems really cheap. And so I'm sitting here cramming away on Google, and I'm like,
that seems like a tin shack on the
Raptor. Just one fighter jet, the F-22 Raptor, can go as much as $300 million per unit.
Yeah, I was going to say 20 billion is like a tin shack on the moon, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like, oh, you got a whole squadron of F-22 Raptors to build a moon base and send people up to the moon? Something don't smell right here, right? How is it for the same as making 18 fighter jets, we can build a whole ass moon base on the moon and send people up there? What?
A state-of-the-art stadium is $4 billion on Earth these days. So how are we going to build a state-of-the-art space station on the moon for 20?
The only thing that makes sense is slave labor through AI bots.
That's if they're advanced that much in 2 years that you could do that.
Yeah. Unless we already have one up there.
Oh. Unless it's already partially built.
Unless it's already there. And that's, I don't know, maybe just throw a number out there that people will believe. You know? Oh, it's already been there for like 20 years, but, just tell them, like 20 billion. $20 billion. Yep, that's how much it costs to start a whole ass base on the moon.
Keep in mind, everybody laughed when President Trump announced Space Force, but now there's a moon base.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people made fun of it.
Yeah.
I didn't make fun of it, though. I make fun of everything. And I didn't even make fun of it.
No.
Because like I realized, though, historically, the Air Force was the U.S. Army Air Corps.
Mm-hmm.
And its mission and its capabilities outgrew the Army. And it needed to become its own branch. And the space mission, i.e. satellites, data, all of your signals intelligence, right? That has become such a big part of warfare now in this 5th generation warfare world that we're in, that it had to become segmented and become its own thing. And so initially everybody's thinking, oh, it's Jedis and, Halo and Space Marines and whatever, but like, no, it's about that plane, right, of space where satellites and the internet is, right? So it really should be called the Internet Force.
Not only that, but there's valuable minerals out there. And I think that's what people aren't thinking of.
What kind of valuable minerals are on the moon?
Not the moon, other asteroids, other planets, other rocks out there contain valuable minerals that, I mean, you think of the average meteorite asteroid that lands on Earth, and they talk about the rich iron and things like that are in that meteorite that we can't get here on Earth. But yet we could potentially farm if we have a base to which we could launch off of that isn't here.
Or, I mean, anywhere in the continental United States in the last 3 days, you could just look out your window and apparently there's a meteor now.
Yes, which we'll talk about that as well, right? But there's the fact of the matter is if you put a base on the moon and then you start to colonize from there, and you go a little bit further out and a little bit further out and a little bit further out, all of a sudden you're mining other places and you're getting those minerals you need in order to ship back here. And you're colonizing other places to obtain minerals that maybe we need for other things.
That would be one heck of a trick, though, of getting it back to Earth, right? Like, I mean, isn't our orbit already like completely littered with satellites and all this space debris and everything else that makes it already incredibly impossible to get any vehicles safely out or in to the Earth? I mean, like, isn't it already like super littered with all this debris out there?
I think the thinking here is you develop the moon, you develop factories, you develop it there, or you develop another planet, you develop factories there that you can bring the minerals back.
I'm liking this. It's making me think that the whole reworking of Starfield recently, for all you gamers, is to maybe inspire the generation of the first explorers out there.
See?
Yes. Yeah.
Again, we're drifting into a lot of conspiracy here today, folks, but you got to look beyond what they're telling you with a lot of this stuff, because they're feeding you little dibs and drabs of things, but there's a lot of stuff here.
Yeah. Well, we all know the moon is just cheese. So
yeah, that's right.
We can expect somebody from Wisconsin to lay claim to it. So.
I wonder what they're going to do with the smiling man who's in the moon. I wonder how they're going to appease him.
Who's that? The California raisins?
Yeah, there's California raisins up there too. By the way, reminding the audience, which included members of Congress and representatives from more than 35 countries, that the United States is in a space race with China. Isaacman pledged to land American astronauts on the moon's surface before the end of President Trump's current term in office. The clock is running in this great power competition, and success or failure will be measured in months, not years, Isaacman said. The Artemis 4 and 5 missions will send astronauts to the lunar surface are now slated for launch in 2028, which is a new timeline that Isaacman said is critical to beating the Chinese. They might be early, and recent history says we might be late, said Isaacman. But this time, the goal is not flags and footprints. This time, the goal is to stay. That is aggressive.
But in what still boggles my mind, and again, this is in the conspiracy world, right? Wasn't it NASA over the last like decade that was like, oh, the reason we haven't been back to the moon is because we lost all of our data from the moon landing and from sending these astronauts to the moon, right? And that all of their old ass computers that they're using that basically built a friggin' warehouse, right? That your iPhone 16 or 17 has more computing power than what they were using to send them to the moon.
Almost
right?
10 times now. Yeah.
And yet they couldn't figure out how to send somebody there over the last decade. Are you kidding? Like, it doesn't make sense. it doesn't make any sense to me. You know, like, how is it that we have the same government agency with all these legacy scientists there with all of their data and way more computing power, way better rockets, and we can't figure it out?
There's one statement that Isaacman made, which will bring it all together for you.
Okay.
It's this. The moon base will not appear overnight. We will invest approximately $20 billion over the next 7 years and build it through dozens of missions, working together with commercial and international partners towards a deliberate and achievable plan, which tells me this has been in the works for quite some time.
International partners. That's interesting.
Yep.
They're saying it's a claim from the U.S. and that the U.S. is going to make the space and it's going to be a U.S. thing, right?
Yep, it's a U.S. thing, but there's international partners. Yep, which tells me it's international private partners. But the fact that they're bringing in international partners means that they're not making a U.S. land claim, but they're also saying, but we're involving international partners, so it's not solely a U.S. land claim. So they're muddying the water.
I had a light bulb moment.
Yeah.
I remember during the campaign, there was a random name that I'd never seen before that was right next to Elon Musk and him in a picture. And they made an announcement of an investment of $3 trillion into infrastructure for AI.
Oh, yeah.
And this was a foreign entity. And I believe it was out of Dubai.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to dig in and get all that information again. I have it somewhere. Mm-hmm. I'll send it to you later. But yeah, it was $3 trillion investment.
Yeah. Yeah.
I bet this is somehow tied to that.
I'm sure. Yeah. Now, to put that cherry on the cake for this entire segment, which we've maybe gone a little too long on, but that's okay because it's important today. A new Disclosure Day trailer is out, which has raised more questions than answers. And as I've told you on the show before, I truly believe Steven Spielberg is in on this whole thing, and Disclosure Day kicks this whole thing off. And is the announcement that the government is using to tell you exactly what we know about aliens, at least what they want you to know about aliens. A new trailer for Steven Spielberg's hotly anticipated UFO disclosure movie has now dropped. For fans of Spielberg's science fiction classics such as 1982's E.T. the Extraterrestrial and 1977's Close Encounters of the Third Kind, there will be few movies as highly anticipated as Disclosure Day, a return to form for the director and one of the year's most hotly debated releases. The movie stars Emily Blunt, Josh O'Connor, Colin Firth, Coleman Domingo, who's one of my favorite actors of all time, and Eve Hewson. The film's plot is based on a story by Spielberg himself with a screenplay penned by David Koepp. It's due to be released June 12th, 2026. Note the date. Interesting, huh?
Is the star of Regulus going to be within the gaze of the Sphinx on that day?
Maybe. This week, a brand new trailer dropped featuring hints of several scenes we haven't seen before, including action-packed car chases and more references to his shadowy government cover-up. Last year, the movie became the subject of a real-world conspiracy with a rumor that began circulating, suggesting that it isn't simply intended as a piece of entertainment, but as a genuine release of information concerning real-life alien visitors. Its name, Disclosure Day, certainly isn't helping, especially given the apparent secrecy that surrounded its development and how long it took to be formally revealed. Some now believe that the movie itself features real extraterrestrial entities and spacecraft. No doubt these rumors will only become more prominent as the movie's release date approaches. I'll tell you what, the new trailer is in this story that I am reading, and I will post the story so that you can watch the trailer for yourself. I still maintain that this goes one step further than what the government is willing to release. And I think it's going to introduce the theory, or it's going to introduce to the world the idea that there are alien human hybrids walking among us, and it's going to be okay.
I agree. I 100% agree with you, because I think what's going to happen is the government has finally gotten to a threshold where they're like we have to release some of this, right? Like, we have to, or they're going to show up with pitchforks, right? Like, it's time, right?
Yep.
But then the litmus test on how much do we open up that floodgate, how much do we keep holding back redacted, is going to be on how people react, right? I think probably your first litmus test on that was World of Worlds, right? And when they played that publicly on the radio, what ended up happening? There was pandemonium. There was chaos, right? And so are the people ready for that knowledge? Are they ready for that reality, right? Let's see how they react to this story, right? If hey, we're going to disclose some of these things and we're going to have a bunch of that as part of this movie, but then we're going to take it past that threshold just a little bit more. How do people react to that? Do they accept it? Are they excited about it? Are they excited about the concepts of it? Or are they terrified?
Well,
and if they're terrified, maybe we pull it back.
Look at over the last 50 some years how we've been softened up, though, between Star Trek, Star Wars,
Yep,
Close Encounters, E.T. I mean, we've pretty much been conditioned now.
5.
Yeah. Between all those, we've been now conditioned that aliens are our friends. We can live among them. Eventually, we're going to have societies where we're all living in peace. Everything is I mean, we've had plenty of series now where everyone's conditioned to the point where there was a news story, Travis, last year where our own Defense Department shot a missile across the bow of an alien ship. It it separated the ship into 4 pieces, and it came back together and kept flying, and everybody didn't blink. It was hardly a news item.
Yep.
It didn't shock anybody. In fact, they thought they were watching something that was AI.
Well, and you even had the Vatican, a year or two ago, start putting out all these, recruitment flyers, essentially looking for people to help them with how are they going to deal with releasing disclosure, right? So if there's disclosure about aliens and ET, how are we going to fit this in with our religious scripture and our structure? And how are we going to ease people's minds to stay within the faith, but yet accept this whole other reality that is not explained in our scriptures, right?
Yeah.
That's been going on, 2 or 3 years, where they've been actively recruiting for that.
Oh,
from the Vatican.
Yeah, Francis started it. Yeah.
So, I mean, at this point, if you can't see that this is rolling out, you're blind.
Yeah. And it's been happening. Yeah, absolutely. Our next story, and we're getting close to break here, but our next story. Actually, boy, we're a couple stories away. So we'll speed through these a little bit here. A fisherman is spooked after spotting a glowing, quote, alien UFO hovering above a motorway. Brandon Barton said he could not believe his eyes when he noticed a strange glowing object drifting slowly through the sky and managed to capture footage on his phone. A stunned fisherman claims he spotted what he called an alien UFO hovering above a motorway before pulling out his phone to film the bizarre sight. Brandon Barton said he could not believe his eyes when he noticed the strange object drifting slowly through the sky. The eerie footage shows an object floating above the road with a beam of light surrounding it. The spooked kayak fisherman quickly grabbed his camera to capture the mysterious moment. The video was filmed on the evening of March 4th near the Emerald Coast in Florida. As he recorded the strange sight, Brandon can be heard reacting in disbelief. He said, "What in the heck is that? Looks like an alien spaceship in the sky." The clip quickly sparked debate online, with viewers sharing their own theories about what the glowing object might be. Many suggested that the so-called UFO was actually linked to Elon Musk's space company. In fact, a lot of people thought it was Starlink when they took a look at it. Some viewers believed it was likely a SpaceX rocket launch lighting up the night sky. One person said, "I seen it this morning too. It's Elon Musk's SpaceX." Another added, "Yep, SpaceX flight, but it's still cool." Another joked about more unusual explanations. One person said, my drone lost connection and it left the atmosphere. Another joked, I tied a bad knot on a skitter walk, is what he said. One viewer added, my whopper plopper when I forgot to flip the ball before I cast. Brandon's footage comes as former U.S. President Barack Obama appeared to confirm that aliens are real last month. I don't know what that has to do with the price of tea in China. They're real, but I haven't seen them, he told YouTuber Brian Tyler. Oh, that's President Obama said that. Okay. But there you go. So a fisherman in Florida claims he thought he saw what he thought was a UFO, but a lot of people, of course, come to pee on his parade. Typical internet, that's for sure. Of course. Elon Musk's proposed orbital data center, speaking of Elon Musk launching stuff into space and making you think it's a UFO, his proposed orbital data centers will be larger than the ISS, supposedly, which can only do great things for what's already up there, right? The SpaceX CEO has revealed new details about his plans for the future, including building AI chips at an unprecedented scale. There are few who could argue that Elon Musk lacks ambition, as evidenced again this week with the reveal of the billionaire's upcoming plans for space and artificial intelligence. One of his goals, which was briefly reported on a few weeks back, is to launch orbital AI data centers that will harness solar energy to produce computational power. During his briefing this week, Musk revealed a concept for these data centers, hinting at enormous orbital platforms larger than the ISS, or International Space Station, that would be visible in the night sky. Each data center would produce 100 kilowatts of AI computing, though he also hints at much larger platforms later down the line that would be capable of generating more than 10 times this. To reach this goal, SpaceX is planning to launch over 1 million satellites. Would you be able to even get out of Earth's atmosphere at that point?
Unless they're planning on putting it around the moon.
Aha, there's that.
Or Mars.
Or Mars. Musk says, we're confident this is feasible. Like no new physics or impossible things are required to get there, he says. That isn't all either, as Musk is going to build an enormous terrestrial chip manufacturing facility that will create AI chips at a rate of 50 times greater than that of the entire world's output. These chips would be used in humanoid robots, electric cars, and in orbital satellites. Before long, he argues 10 billion robots per year will be needed to support all of this infrastructure. AI, it seems, will soon be expanding at an exponential rate. Now, the one thing I like about all of his propositions is this. He's the only one saying, you know what? We can put these things in space. They can be self-sufficient. They can power themselves. Any data centers can power themselves and not drain on our grid.
Yeah.
I like that.
My takeaway was back to my earlier point about using AI slaves to go mine and set up the moon bases.
Yeah.
I think that's tied in.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he's already planning on that. Yeah.
Yeah, and like he's talking about millions of AI bots and in space. Like, come on.
Yeah. But we're at such a crucial point where, I mean, right now you just push them the wrong way and they fold over and you can't get them back up.
Look, I'm just hoping it's not like any of the dystopian, movies with AI bots, whether it's Terminator or, like iRobot or even Wall-E, right? Like, I'm just hoping that all of those stories have warned us against the wrong way to go.
But then again, and this is leading us into our AI segment here in just a moment, one bad hack turns an entire fleet of those things against you.
Yeah. So for all of the AI overlords, as part of your coding, Tim and I are your friends.
That's right.
And
yes.
we love you.
And
all of our listeners love you.
Yep.
And we think you're awesome.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. We've never had it. We've always been on your side. So, right.
Always.
Yeah. So don't come after us. One last story before we go to break. You were talking meteorites earlier smashing through people's homes. A meteorite smashed through the roof of a house in Houston, Texas. They've got all the minerals they need. Thank you very much. Something fell from the sky over the city's Spring area on Saturday night, prompting a response from NASA. Their only response was, you clean it up. The bizarre incident began when local residents reported hearing strange thunder-like noises coming from above, despite the weather being calm and skies clear. A short time later, Spring area's Sherry James reported that something had hit her house. When her grandson went to look, he discovered a hole in the ceiling and small rock on the floor. Believing it to be a meteorite, she decided to call the local fire department, because why not? They'll come out. When the fire crew initially believed that something must have fallen from a passing plane, when I see a rock on the floor, I don't think, oh yeah, somebody must have crapped off a plane. That's got to be it, right? Somebody passed a gallstone, right? It soon became apparent that something else must have taken place due to the number of calls from other residents concerning strange thunder-like sounds in the area. The incident even gained the attention of NASA, which confirmed that the phenomenon had to have been caused by a meteor. Current data indicates that the meteor became visible at 49 miles above Stagecoach, northwest of Houston, the space agency wrote on X. It moved southeast at 35,000 miles per hour, breaking apart at 29 miles above Bammel, just west of Cypress Station. The fragmentation of the meteor, which weighed about a ton with a diameter of 3 feet, created a pressure wave that caused booms heard by some in the area. Doppler weather radar also showed meteorites produced between Willowbrook and Northgate Crossing. Fortunately, nobody was hurt by the falling fragments. Wow. Every time we think of, the Earth is safe, we'll never get hit with anything. You never know just what is out there that can hit us at any time. We are a sitting duck.
Yeah. God, I'm forgetting his name right now. He went out to the retreat that I was at like 3-4 years in a row. He's a famous mathematician, geologist guy. He's been on Joe Rogan a bunch of times. I think he was even out at the Paradigm Symposium. What the hell is his name? Out of Georgia. Math guy, always talking about, he's got the alternative theory about all the ice caps melting and all that.
I know who you're talking about, but I can't think of the name.
Anyway, he spent like 3 hours lecturing us one night about how every year, just about every 6 months, we actually play a gamble game with meteors.
Yeah.
On like the Annihilation game.
Yeah.
Every 6 months. And it's like, it's a roll of the dice every 6 months. And that was a wake up call for me. Like, oh yeah, well, you know what? I'm just going to live my life to be happy. And,
yeah.
Take it 6 months at a time, and we just changed our insurance for our house too.
Yep.
And I was reading through that book. And I feel sorry for these people getting struck by meteors, because it was like a phone book of like, yep, we're not responsible for literally anything that could ever happen to your home, to include meteors falling from the sky.
Oh, yeah. Act of God stuff is just horrendous. Yeah.
Like, okay, so if you had a 7-ton meteor fall from the sky, blast through your freaking roof, and your house is destroyed. State Farm is not there.
Yep. It's on you, bro.
Sucks to suck, bro.
You can call Pat Mahomes all day long. He ain't showing up. Yeah.
What do you even do? Is the meteor itself even going to be worth enough that you could sell to somebody to maybe like rebuild your home? Probably not.
No. And what's sad is, there's certain acts of God that aren't even falling from the sky that you're not covered for, which, it's sad to say, but that's the insurance agency in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Yeah. With that, we should take our break. As we try to find an umbrella that will protect us against a meteor. When we come back, AI is prosecuting, speaking of, please don't hack us and kill us. AI is prosecuting certain people that aren't even guilty in Georgia. We'll tell you about it when we come back. That's quite the story. We've got new news on Loch Ness and the Loch Ness Monster. Are they actually thawing out cryo-frozen brains and doing it successfully? We'll talk about that when we get back as well. And our palate cleanser for today, treat it like you don't need it, bro. Maybe it's time for us to have one of those fire councils with this kid. I'll tell you why one 15-year-old went just a little bit too far. That's at the end of the program. Supernatural News and Parashare, the extended version this Wednesday with your buddies Tim and the Combat Rev right here on the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio. Welcome back to the best in paranormal podcasting. This is Darkness Radio on a Wednesday. Supernatural News, Parashare with your buddies Tim and the Combat Rev. Oh, Rev, guess what?
Chicken butt?
Yeah, that too. It's that time. We started up. Let's get it going. Let's get it cooking. It's time now to talk about AI and AI news. A dancing robot goes nuts and causes chaos in a California restaurant.
Oh, is it an IHOP?
See, I see what you did there. Is it an IHOP? A robot that had been showing off its dance moves to customers ended up getting a little bit too excited. See, this is why we can't bring robots to the moon.
Why? Because they'll go out and do a dance break?
Yes, because they'll moonwalk all over the place and we won't get any work done. See what'll happen there?
Coming like a wrecking ball.
See? It's probably no exaggeration to say that robots are likely going to be everywhere within a few years, meaning that scenes such as this will also be a lot more commonplace before too long. The bizarre incident began at the Hidalgo Hot Pot restaurant in San Jose, California, where customers had been enjoying their meals when a humanoid robot arrived on the scene and started dancing. Would you at that point just pick up and leave?
No. I'd enjoy the show. I'd probably even start throwing dollar bills at it and like encourage it to get even more wild. Like I'd be like, twerk for nuts and bolts.
I would get up and yell, "This is Sparta," and kick that fucker in the chest.
No, I am nice to my AI overlords. I know where the world is going.
Well, at first, everyone enjoyed the robot's dance moves, but then the excitable contraption got a little bit too enthusiastic. This is why I get up and kick that fucker in the chest. And a little bit too close to one of the tables as it was doing its thing, resulting in it swinging its arms on top of plates and dishes, sending food and mess everywhere. See, it's a spastic robot, which, by the way, Spastic Robot is the name of our new band.
Yeah, I mean, the only time I would have Sparta kicked it is if it would have, like, during its display, accidentally, like, hit a baby in a high chair or something.
See, that's when you go off.
At that point, you get a Sparta kick, right? But if it's just sending food in the air, I mean, it's funny as long as it ain't my food.
But see, at any time, that food could fly and hit you. So do you take proactive action and kick it right away?
Nah. I'll encourage it to do it more because I'll get more pancakes.
Oh, that's true. Employees quickly rushed to restrain the machine, but actually struggled to do so. Why? Because it's too powerful.
Yeah.
In the end, it required several people to stop the robot from wildly swinging its arms around. The problem was exacerbated by the fact that the controls only seemed to be available via mobile app. No manual shutdown, bro. That's a horribly built robot. While the incident was quite amusing to watch, it struck a chord with quite a few social media users who questioned why it was so difficult to disable the robot, because that's how they build them.
Yep.
Don't you people know this? It's certainly a fair concern. It shouldn't take multiple people to restrain a dancing robot. Imagine if this was some sort of heavy-duty industrial robot or even a robot designed for combat. Well, then they do that on purpose then, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
So you couldn't defeat
Maybe
the
it's
robot.
a prototype.
That's right. Maybe it is a prototype. Building an easily accessible off switch into every unit should be a legal requirement, a lot of people stated. But they were dead damn wrong, weren't they?
You know, that's where we just start filling up paintball guns filled with gallium. And then when the robots come, you just hit them with a bunch of gallium and they just melt.
Yeah. But you know what? I guess people learn their lessons, don't they? I guess they learn their lessons.
They'll learn the hard way. With hot pot and pancakes flying everywhere.
Hot pot and pancakes.
Could you imagine somebody with PTSD afterwards in a therapy session? There I was, no shit, at the hot pot. The robot came stumbling in. At first, it was cute. He was dancing to Elvis doing the twist, but then Cardi B came on and he started dropping that thing like it was hot. Boiling water and hot souffles everywhere.
See? People think that this is all fun and games. It's all fun and games till somebody can't drop a robot who's flinging food everywhere. Then what? Then what are you going to do? Right?
Yeah. Eventually, they're going to be our masters.
Yeah. Then they got you. That's for sure. A New Mexico jury says that Meta harms children's mental health and safety and has violated a state law, which could set precedent for the rest of the country and could set Meta up for bankruptcy if it came to class action lawsuits. A New Mexico jury determined today that Meta knowingly harmed children's mental health and concealed what it knew about child sexual exploitation on its social media platforms, a verdict that signals a changing tide against tech companies and the government's willingness to crack down. The landmark decision comes after a nearly 7-week trial, and as jurors in a federal court in California have been sequestered in deliberations for more than a week about whether Meta and YouTube should be liable in a similar case. New Mexico jurors sided with state prosecutors who argued that Meta, which owns Instagram, Facebook, and WhatsApp, prioritized profits over safety and violated parts of the state's Unfair Practices Act. The jury agreed with allegations that Meta made false or misleading statements and also agreed that Meta engaged in unconscionable trade practices that unfairly took advantage of the vulnerabilities of and inexperience of children. Jurors found that there were thousands of violations, each counting separately towards a penalty of $375 million. That's less than 1/5 of what the prosecutors were seeking. Meta is valued at $1.5 trillion, and the company's stock was up 5% in early after-hours trading following the verdict, a signal that shareholders were shrugging off the news.
I would shrug it off, too, because they have a solid defense. And it's simply, they would just have to go into court and say, I know I am, but so are you.
Ooh, the Pee Wee Herman defense.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. Everything that was laid out in the accusation, right? They're harming the youth and they're, harming their minds and they're covering up sex trafficking and all this. I don't know. Sounds awfully frickin' familiar, federal government.
Oh, well, yeah. There's that. Sure. If you want to put it that way. Okay. We'll move on. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting story. I think that. So I'll put it this way: not that I'm a Zuckerberg defender by any means, or a social media defender by any means, but to me, this is someone trying to crack away at the empire.
Yep.
And they're trying to find a crack that they can start chipping away financially at them.
And it being the government pursuing these charges after him, I mean, I would only then assume that they're going to want to take that.
Yeah.
And the only way to be able to do that is to knock them down about 80 pegs, and get them pennies on the dollar.
Yep. Yeah. And try to make them the next MySpace.
We saw the same thing with the whole like Bitcoin stuff and all that, right?
Yeah.
What was his name? Sam something.
Yes. Yeah.
They did the same thing. They went after him. They prosecuted him. They ruined the name of it all. And then, oh, hey, we're developing our own now.
Yep. Yeah.
No different. Same strategy.
Yep. Let's move on. William Shatner had to have surgery a week or two ago after a wild horse accident that sent him flying. He claims he's not a young stuntman anymore. How old do you think William Shatner is?
Thanks. You just on live radio made me have a Mandela effect.
Really?
Last universe I knew I was in, he was already dead.
Really? You thought he was dead?
Yep.
No.
That was a known fact in my head.
No. Mm-mm.
Yep. Chuck Norris was still alive in my head.
No, he died. Yeah. No.
Yeah, no, he's still alive. He just shedded his skin. That's all. Don't worry.
He became the full lizard he was.
Yeah. He just ascended. He's an ascended master.
Yeah.
I feel like in my bones that I remember that he was dead.
No.
I don't know.
No, that's a false implanted memory by the masters that you're serving.
Maybe his time will be soon.
Wow.
Whoa.
Wow. You got a lot of Trekkies out there that all of a sudden don't like you.
I'm just saying, a lot's happening in June.
A lot is happening in June. You're saying maybe he becomes one of the ascended masters at that point?
Look, if that happens, guys, don't be mad at me. I'm just throwing darts in the darkness here.
definitely be mad at him. He actually just celebrated his 95th birthday.
Okay. At that point, you're a vampire, bro. Can you be mad at me for thinking he was already dead? 95
on March 22nd. Yeah.
Yeah. He's sipping on necks to stay alive. I look, 95.
Yeah.
Look, if Chuck Norris died before William Shatner, something's wrong. All right.
Well, one fake fights in a sci-fi series and the other actually tries to beat people up. I mean, that's the difference. One's living a leisurely lifestyle. The other's,
I know. Scotty Roberts is going to have a lot of words with me after this.
Why is that?
He's going to be so mad.
Well, why? Because he went after Shatner?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh. Let's tell you what happened to James T. Kirk here. Essentially, he rides horses still at the age of 95 or 94 when he had the accident. I don't know why, but he does. I know he loves them, but hey, I used to love snorting coke and doing hookers, but I don't do that anymore. I'm too old for it. I mean, did I say that on air? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that. Did that come out of my mouth? I'm so sorry.
It's the Manjaro.
It's the Manjaro. It's the mainlining the Manjaro into my chest, I'm sure. As he accepted the Hall of Fame award on behalf of the Star Trek franchise, Shatner said he was feeling old, tired, and kind of hurt before launching into a story about his equestrian mishap. He said, I ride the horses that can compete in equine skills, which is fast down and ends on a sliding stop. Ow! And the horse that I owned, I came off, he told the press at the event, adding that his horse had a habit of going too far, like 6 inches to the side, and that as a result of it, in the fast trot, he fell off. Now, I can't imagine at my age falling off a horse and feeling all that great, but at his age, dear God. Despite his experience with stunts that helped him brace for the fall and the impact, the Boston legal alum was seriously injured in the fall. He said, "I'm not a young stuntman anymore." He said, "I started to roll, but hit the dirt with my shoulder, so I wrecked my shoulder." Ouch.
Surprised you didn't break a hip.
I don't think that's the part he rolled with. The actor added that he was scheduled to undergo a new type of shoulder operation called a reverse something or another. I'm sure that's the medical term. He underwent that on March 11th. He said, "You put the ball in the socket and the socket in the thing," which again is medical speak, "and you come out about 10 hours later and you're pain free." So that's what I'm meandering towards. I'll tell you this much. Most 94-year-olds don't get that surgery. He got that because he's William Shatner.
Yeah.
Most 94-year-olds go, "Well, we'll patch you up and you're gonna be experiencing pain for the rest of your life."
Yeah, that's insane. I mean, yeah, at 94, 95 years old, your bones are made of balsa wood, right? That's why I'm like, I'm shocked he didn't just shatter a hip just from the fall, like okay, this proves he's a vampire.
Well, we can't say that. He did, by the way, in September of 2025, he had a huge blood sugar issue. They rushed him to the hospital.
Yeah,
so
because he was sucking on little kids that had too much candy. Wow. You said it here first. Blood sugar problem.
Well,
right?
It was too low, so evidently there weren't enough kids around at the time.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't even think he had a shoulder surgery, right? He's just healing after drinking on some necks, right? Because he didn't even explain the surgery, right? You put the ball in the thing and a little thing. He thought, well, yeah, no, he's a vampire.
You put the lime in the coconut and suck on some necks. And then you're all better. He took to Instagram a day later, sharing a mustachioed photo of his face emblazoned with the words, "Rumors of my demise have been greatly exaggerated. Nana, Travis, I'm still alive. I came out of my coffin."
Yeah.
He reassured followers that he was just fine in the caption, writing, "I overindulged. Thank you for caring." Oh, he was sucking necks. He said, "I overindulged." He said, "I thank you all for caring, but I'm perfectly fine. I keep telling you all, don't trust tabloids or AI." See, he said, "Don't trust AI." I knew I liked him.
Yeah. See, we're going to have to talk to your doctor and have him reach out to his relatives, the Van Helsings.
Wow.
Call back.
Wow. You're going to lose a lot of fans that were Star Trek fans. You know that? A lot of friends.
No, they're just going to hate me. I mean,
they really are not going to like you. Okay, last week I said I had a story for you about a celebrity over on the other side of the pond who had a little bit of an experience on the Queen Mary. The headline is, "A ghost grabbed my leg, my spine-chilling encounters aboard America's most haunted ship." The celebrity, I say that in quotes, our listeners across the pond will know who it is. I'm not a huge Brocard fan, I got to admit. I don't know about you.
I don't even know who Brocard is.
Okay, great. Yeah. So we have that in common. Who once claimed to be married to a ghost. She's got that going for her.
Cool.
Is now a paranormal investigator. We all have that in common. And says she has communicated with over 100 spirits. Let me show you who she is. She claims that a ghost married her up. Does she look like
not the tap to join, but the lower into the screen, other way.
I'm sorry. Let me do this. Okay, this way.
Yep.
Okay. Does she look like maybe the lights are on?
Kind of like she looks like a lot of the girls in my AI videos that I baptized in eggnog and Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, she does, doesn't she? Yeah. She looked like the lights aren't on there. Sure. She says, "I visited plenty of supposedly haunted places over the years, but nothing prepared me for what happened when I stepped aboard the legendary RMS Queen Mary." Now, I have had an experience on the Queen Mary, so I'll give her that. And no, it wasn't with hookers and cocaine. The giant ocean liner permanently docked in California is widely dubbed one of the most haunted places in the U.S. after two separate visits, one during a Halloween horror event and another recent overnight stay. The ship's most infamous cabin I'm not entirely convinced the ghost stories are just stories, Brocard went on to say, because during one visit, she says something grabbed me. Might have been one of your fans. Never know.
Sure it wasn't your husband?
Your ghostly husband? It might have been. Why won't that ad go away?
I'm just saying, when I die, I want some hot goth chick to marry me.
Right. Right? I mean, that's all we can ask. I just want to stand around in a corner and have some hot, crazy goth chick go, you, come here.
You? Oh, me?
Who, me?
Boob.
Looks like you're about to raise me from the dead, if you know what I mean. Brocard says the event transformed the historic liner into a floating nightmare packed with some scare mazes and haunted attractions hidden deep inside the ship's steel hull. One maze in particular says left her particularly shaken. The attraction called Lullaby is inspired by the legend of Jackie, the young girl believed to have drowned in the ship's first-class swimming pool decades ago. Now, Jackie is kind of a controversial figure because some people believe all Jackie is either a tulpa or a recording that she doesn't even really exist. Naturally, the maze is located right near where that pool still stands empty. While walking through the dark passageways, something suddenly grabbed my leg hard, Brocard went on to say. At the exact same moment, my chest tightened and I felt like I couldn't breathe, as if I was being dragged underwater. For a few terrifying seconds, I genuinely felt like I was drowning. Then just as quickly as it began, the sensation disappeared. We should also note that there was never a girl named Jackie that was ever aboard the Queen Mary. That's the other thing that's...
Womp, womp,
yeah.
womp.
Yeah. She says, my most recent night in the ship's most haunted room, she said that unsettling experience stuck with me so much that I recently decided to return to the Queen Mary and take things one step further. This time, I booked a night in stateroom B340, the ship's most infamous haunted cabin. The room has built a legendary reputation among paranormal investigators and curious visitors alike. When I checked in, I was told that the room may be haunted by a spirit called Walter. Other stories suggest a violent killer known as Samuel the Savage once murdered people there before taking his own life. Not exactly the most relaxing bedtime tale. The ship fully leans into the paranormal reputation, too. Inside the room, I found tarot cards, a Ouija board, and even a crystal ball, all waiting for guests brave enough to try contacting whatever might still linger on board. Clearly, the Queen Mary isn't afraid of its ghostly reputation. The most surprising part of staying in B340 wasn't paranormal activity, it was tourists, she went on to say. The cabin is actually a stop on the ship's ghost tours, meaning groups regularly gather outside the window while guides explain the chilling stories linked to the room. If you forget to close the curtains, you could easily find yourself accidentally giving a live performance to a group of ghost hunters. By the way, you were married to a ghost, so you were giving live performances to something.
All the time.
All the time. Of course, if you're feeling mischievous, there's always the option of hiding behind the curtains and jumping out to scare them, she said. A haunted room deserves a bit of fun, I guess. Part of what makes the Queen Mary so eerie is that it's very real history. During World War II, the liner collided with the British cruiser HMS Curacoa in 1942. The impact split the warship in half and nearly 300 sailors drowned. Although the tragedy happened in the water beneath the liner rather than on board it, many believe the spirits of those sailors still linger around the ship. Our singer says, well, I toured the lower section of the vessel. Deep inside the bow, the atmosphere suddenly felt incredibly heavy. Within seconds, I developed a pounding migraine. Maybe it was coincidence, but it was hard to ignore how different that part of the ship felt. Strangely, one of the most unsettling moments happened before I even checked into my room. While wandering the ship looking for a restroom, I ended up in a long corridor that seemed to stretch endlessly throughout the vessel. At the end was a bathroom filled with mist. I wouldn't go in then. Inside, I thought I saw a shadowy outline of a heavy-set man. I returned more than once to check If I'd imagined it, each time the room felt just as eerie. Ghosts or not, the Queen Mary is an unforgettable place. Standing alone on the deck beneath the ship's enormous red tunnel or funnels, it says here, staring up at the night sky feels like stepping back into another era. Historic, mysterious, a little chilling. And after what I experienced there, I can't help wondering whether some of the ship's former passengers and perhaps a few unlucky sailors never really left. Brocard not only calls herself a rock singer and songwriter, but also a paranormal expert who spends her time searching for haunted hotspots. After capturing headlines across the globe and discussing her ghostly activities with the Daily Star, she now has landed her own online column. So look for that, Travis.
Oh, shit. Sorry.
Oh, you might have a little.
So, I mean, I think I had a little frog in my throat there.
Yeah.
I mean, like, look, I'm actively listening. I don't even know who this person is from Adam, right?
Broker?
I don't know, but I'm just listening to this story.
Mm-hmm.
And when she says she's made contact with over 100 spirits.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
You would think by that point, you'd have a pretty good grasp and understanding, and you would have had a lot of little run-ins and a lot of instances that would have, I don't know, kind of calloused you to some of these things.
Sure.
I mean, to the point where you married a ghost.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Not dated, but married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, armed with all of this,
Uh-huh.
you then board the Queen Mary. And the most terrifying thing that's ever happened to you is a ghost touched you.
Mm. Well, there was a heavy-set man in the mist in the bathroom.
You've talked to 100 of them before, and you married one.
Yeah.
But a ghost touched you, and it was so terrifying. And then Misty Bathroom Man.
Isn't that a Led Zeppelin song?
And yes,
Yeah.
I believe it when Misty Bathroom Man, you're so mysterious to me. I gotta book another season on the old Queen Mary.
Yeah, that's how it went. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, something like that, right? Eminem did it, I think.
Yeah.
Look, it doesn't pass the bullshit sniff at all, right? Like, how are you that terrified of something touching your leg and seeing a misty fat man in a bathroom when you've already communicated with publicly? I'm an expert over 100 spirits, and I married one. Doesn't make any fucking sense to me.
By the way, Misty Fat Man is the worst stripper aboard the Queen Mary you could ever watch.
Yes. It is also going to be the name of our next casting call for Sasquatch Visits a Nunnery Part 11.
By the way, did we hire Misty Fat Man at Trailer Park 6? I'm just curious.
Yes, it is only for amateur nights on Tuesdays.
Okay,
So
all right. I'm just curious. Just updating the roster because I gotta schedule strippers for next week. Gotta see if she's on the schedule. Misty Fat Man.
Do you think for $20 billion we could put Trailer Park 6 on the moon?
I bet you we could have an outpost there. Hey, there's money to be made everywhere, brother. That's for sure.
We could get a booking of the AI robot in the restaurant.
Yes, the AI robot waiter who just flings shit everywhere. He'll wait there. Mm-hmm. Wow, there's a lot of callbacks in this episode. All right, we should move on. Scientists move one step closer to reviving a cryopreserved brain. Brains. Researchers have succeeded in partially reviving the frozen brain tissue of a mouse for the first time. Boy, I bet you that mouse is really, really grateful.
Researchers have been able to translate its squeaks. Kill me.
Thanks a lot, buddy. Couldn't wait to come back. Where's Walt? Yeah, that's pretty much what was said. Every year, thousands of people around the world with enough money sign up for cryopreservation, which is a method of freezing the human body or brain after death and hope that one day in the far, far future, science will have advanced enough to thaw them out, cure their ailments, and restore them to life. Entire facilities have sprung up containing countless rows of containment units housing such individuals whose remains wait at sub-zero temperatures for the day that they can live again. Trouble is, nobody has actually figured out exactly how to revive someone from this state. Typical cryopreservation tends to cause ice crystals to form inside and damage the body's delicate cells. That's a problem. One way that scientists are attempting to avoid this problem is through a process known as vitrification, which replaces water with a concoction of chemicals designed to preserve the body's tissues and a sort of solid glass-like substance that doesn't cause the same damage as water ice does. Now, researchers in Germany have reported that for the first time, they've been able to at least partially restore the brain tissue of a mouse that had undergone this process. Say, that's great. Appreciate it. He just wakes right up and, oh boy, hot dog, hot diggity dog. He sprung right up.
You know, maybe if these scientists complete it and not just partially revive it, Disney will actually bounce back after their failures of Star Wars.
Oh, yeah. Well, my brain is up, but my cock is soft. What's up with that? You know, there's so many lines you could put in there. Yeah. Boy, Minnie's going to be disappointed.
Yeah, I don't think I'd want to be frozen. I think I'd rather do what Altered Carbon, I think is what the movie was called, or show, or whatever it was, where they basically just take like your consciousness and put it in like a data stack into a new body. And so you just keep like uploading into new bodies. That'd be pretty fucking cool.
At least they put Han Solo in carbonite. That was kind of cool. You just made me into a fucking popsicle.
And I came back goofy.
Surprised I don't have some 5-year-old licking my balls. Where is I going with this story?
I don't know.
While the experiment wasn't a complete success, evidently the team found that some of the brain tissue samples exhibited the restoration of the neural processes critical to memory and learning. So that's encouraging.
Yeah.
Perhaps the most important benefit of the team's findings, however, is not the cryopreservation of entire bodies, but in advancing the field of preserving organs for donation. Oh, boy. If it really does become possible to perfectly preserve living human tissue, it would be a monumental achievement. As for the people frozen in cryopreservation facilities, they're going to have to wait a little bit longer.
Timothy, we have some good news. The brain, after being thawed, its memory is intact. Its knowledge is intact. But the part of the brain that governs its, let's say, personality, a little bit damaged. It's kind of a psychopath.
Oh, well, in that case, sign me up. Our next story has to do with the Loch Ness Monster.
Tree fitty.
Tree fitty? The Loch Ness Monster, well, actually, a Loch Ness Monster hunter is stunned as a fast-moving creature is filmed rising and sinking out of the water. As experts say, no animal we know of can reach that speed. Again, hookers and blow in the water in Loch Ness.
Maybe Gerald the dolphin building his underwater city in Florida. He can probably do it.
Probably. A fast-moving creature has been filmed rising and sinking out of Loch Ness, sparking excitement that it could be one Loch Ness Monster. Or, hear me out here, could be his faster eel-like cousin Gerald.
Maybe. Yeah.
31-year-old Sasha Lake was standing on the banks of the loch on March 1st at around 6 p.m. when he spotted something moving in the water. The mysterious object was moving at incredible speed against the waves, and luckily Mr. Lake had his phone at the ready to capture it on camera. Very rare for anybody, much less a layman. I mean, not even paranormal investigators have their phone at the ready when they go to do this.
So, no, they're too busy talking about how cool they are before they.
That's right. They're like, I've seen the Loch Ness Monster 45 times when I've been out here at the loch, and oh shit, there it is. Yeah, but this guy, unbeknownst to everybody, had the thing ready. Just click.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
and his last name was Lake.
Lake.
Was that
Lake at the loch?
It was meant to be.
It was meant to be. I was excited and intrigued. I only stopped filming because it went out of view, he said. Mr. Lake from Bath showed the footage to Alan McKenna, the leader of the Loch Ness exploration, who claims there was no animal that we know of in Loch Ness that can reach this speed. While its identity remains unclear, this is the first possible sighting of the Loch Ness Monster this year. It comes after the monster, nicknamed Nessie, was spotted 5 times in 2025, according to the official Loch Ness Monster Sightings Register. The mythical creature has been a staple feature of Scottish folklore for centuries, but gained worldwide attention in 1933 when the first photo was snapped, which some people may argue is a hoax, but we won't get into that now. But yeah, there's video of this thing. So what we'll do is, or is there? Is there video? Yeah, I think there's video. So we'll include that in the description of this program so you can watch it for yourself. And you tell us what it is. That you tell me, McMahon, what exactly you're looking at there.
Have they ever mapped Loch Ness, the lake, with LiDAR?
Not only have they done that, but they took samples of the lake itself for scales to determine if there were plesiosaur scales or whatnot in there, and they found nothing. So they looked for genotypes and everything to see if they had something close to what they would think would be the monster itself, and they found nothing.
Nothing.
So yeah, they've gone above and beyond to try and find the monster, and they found
Magical dragon.
Yeah,
magical dragon.
Our next story has to do with the Bermuda Triangle and a hunt for a lost plane, which has yielded an unexpected discovery. Divers, accompanied by a TV crew, had been scouring parts of an infamous region for a World War II plane wreckage, an expanse of ocean in the North Atlantic that spans the area between Florida, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico, which is the Bermuda Triangle, needs little introduction, but I just gave you one, so what am I doing? Over the years, the region has become synonymous with the unexplained disappearances of ships and airplanes, often with no trace of them or their crews ever being found. Back in 2022, a History Channel crew alongside a team of expert divers set out to find the wreckage of a long-lost plane that went down off the east coast of Florida during the Second World War. Things seemed to be looking up when the team identified what appeared to be pieces of an aircraft on the sea floor. But when they went down to take a closer look, what they found shocked them. The debris was unlike anything that they'd seen before. It consisted of strange tiles that didn't look like they belonged to any known aircraft. Puzzled, the divers went down for another look, then decided to contact NASA. It turned out that what they had found was not the lost World War II aircraft that they thought they were looking for. It was a significant piece of the Space Shuttle Challenger that was lost just 73 seconds into its ascent in 1986.
Wow.
Yeah. Isn't that something?
Hell.
The accident, which was caused by a fatal design flaw, cost the lives of all 7 of its crew members. The discovery gives us an opportunity to pause once again to uplift the legacies of the 7 pioneers we lost and to reflect on how this tragedy changed us, former NASA Administrator Bill Nelson said at the time. At NASA, the core value of safety is and must forever remain our top priority, especially as our missions explore more of the cosmos than ever before. I'm trying to remember what program I was watching, and they were talking about it. They were talking about how horrendous of a death the people on the Challenger had to suffer because they said they did not die instantaneously. And a lot of people like to think that it was just this explosion that happened and everybody died instantaneously. It was not. There was a I'm trying to remember how they put it, but it was like a fireball that consumed them. And then they did live and they fell. and hit the ocean.
Oh man.
So they
what
were
kind of like bad karma were you holding on to for death like that? That's horrible.
So they were burned partially, and then they lived, and then they fell to their death. And if they fell and hit the water and managed to live, they drowned.
Yeah, there's no way from that height hitting the ocean, it's not going to be like hitting concrete, right?
Yeah, it's like hitting concrete. So you probably died on impact when you hit the ocean. But if you managed to survive, you drowned because you would have broken every bone in your body.
Yeah. Oh.
So I mean, but the way that this person described it, I was like, oh my God, why would you even tell us that?
Yeah. That sucks.
We were all at peace thinking, okay, well, at least they went quick. But no, this person was like, oh no, here, let me explain. It was like, oh, come on. Let us.
And you see the backwards pressure of the vortex of the flames.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Yeah, it's like, you asshole, shut up.
And really, they couldn't even see what was going on because their eyeballs melted within their sockets.
Yeah.
But all their nerves could feel every second.
It was excruciating, it was. It's like, shut up.
It would have been better to be burned alive at the stake as a witch.
And they had it easy, let me tell you something.
But at least they were an astronaut.
Yep. Or at least they were seeking their dream.
Yeah.
It was horrible. I don't remember what program it was, but I wanted to throw shit at my TV. It was bad. Anyways, good news out of the Bahamas, though. At least if you're the makers of Sharknado 5 or Cocaine Bear 2. Are you ready for this?
Send it, senpai.
Sharks in the Bahamas are full of cocaine, caffeine, and painkillers.
This has guessed the war on the narco state.
That's right.
Created drug-infused sharks.
Let's blow up some more boats, kids.
I love this reality.
Oh yeah, we'll just blow up boats. Why not? It can't lead to anything bad. A recent study has highlighted the levels of pharmaceutical pollution happening in the Bahamas. Drug-fueled sharks.
Got some hammered heads.
Hammered heads. Which is a great name for the new movie, isn't it? Hammerheads. There's something lurking in the pristine waters of the idyllic Atlantic island country, and it isn't just the local wildlife. The ocean appears to be riddled with traces of drugs and chemicals. Right now, Nancy Reagan's rolling over in her grave. Just say no, sharks. Just say no.
Just keep swimming.
Just keep swimming. Be a good old shark. According to a new study, which involved taking samples of blood from 85 sharks near, is it Eleuthera Island? The Bahamas is polluted with a disconcerting cocktail of pharmaceuticals. And I'm bringing Jim Belushi with me, and we're going to snort the entire ocean. Oh, yeah, baby.
It's time to actually get into sushi.
It is. Yeah, right. I never liked it before, but it's time to try it now. The results revealed that most of the animals showed traces of caffeine and over-the-counter painkillers such as ibuprofen, while some even had traces of illegal drugs such as cocaine. She's all mine, she's all mine, she's all mine. Great white.
Bull sharks out there just pounding down fucking Monster energy drinks. Just fucking... The fucking Kyles of the ocean.
Meanwhile, you got a shark coming up saying, first you get the money, then you get the women. No, first you get the money, then you get the power, then you get the women. I'm making a PG for this. You're like, wow, when did the sharks go Scarface in this ocean?
You imagine all these sharks just punching holes in drywall.
Say hello to my little friend. Researchers believe that most of these made their way into the ocean, not the sharks, the drugs, through waste dumping. When you take painkillers, for instance, traces of these will ultimately end up leaving your system and make their way into the sewers. I don't believe that taking a morphine-laced shit in my toilet is going to make the sharks laced with morphine.
Like, it's no coinky dink that all of a sudden we started, like, I don't know, hellfire missiling all these drug boats, and now
Right.
all of a sudden this is happening.
Right.
I mean, come on. I'm just saying.
Right.
And it's a shame. It is a shame that all these drugs are finding their way into schools.
Yeah.
Of fish.
See?
Yeah, I'm on fire.
That's what the shark said. Most concerning was the fact that these substances seem to have had distinct metabolic effects on the shark and remain unclear how this might impact them over the long term. I'll tell you how it will. They're going to start spending a lot of money quickly and getting a lot of nosebleeds. That's how it's going to, that's what's going to happen. And maybe they might have a Hollywood career in front of them.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Think any of them are going to get a new teeth?
Maybe. While the idea of sharks swimming around on cocaine might seem alarming, that just means they swim faster, baby. The biggest risk is actually to the overall ocean environment and how these drugs will affect the local ecosystem. I'll tell you this much. The other fish don't have a fucking prayer if they're on cocaine.
Maybe the octopus.
Yeah.
It's got eight tentacles and a brain that matches like aliens, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yep.
That actually terrifies me. Maybe that's our new overlords. Holy
Maybe.
shit.
Yeah.
Cocaine infused octopi.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Ultimately, it will also impact us because we eat what comes out of the ocean.
Well, some people do.
Some people, yeah. Some of us like beef.
Yeah.
Although if we could get the cocaine into the beef, now we're talking.
Yeah.
The study highlights how our own activities might come back to haunt us later down the line. Well, let's just keep firing missiles into the Bahamas, I guess.
War on drugs. War on drugs.
Speaking of fast animals, a prehistoric crocodile-like reptile was so fast it could outrun a dog, according to this article I'm reading here. The fossilized remains of the Triassic era creature that's been unearthed in Gloucester, England, they're saying was that fast. The British Isles certainly don't have any crocodiles roaming wild in them today. If they did, you'd hear a lot of this, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. That would be going on. But 215 million years ago, the Triassic landscape was home to a particularly intriguing crocodilomorph. That sounds like a made-up term. The early ancestors of modern crocodiles was quite unlike anything we see today, known as Galahadossuchus jonesi. Again, sounds completely made up. This curious creature preferred dry land over water. It was built for speed with long, slender legs and a more lightweight frame. It was thought to have hunted prey such as small mammals, amphibians, and reptiles. The fossil remains, which were discovered along the Bristol Channel, were detailed in a new study authored by the Natural History Museum PhD student Ian Bodenham. My PhD project is looking at the evolutionary relationships of these early crocodiles, he said. So we conducted a detailed anatomical description of this specimen, making comparisons to other early crocodiles to determine if it was another specimen of Pterostrasuchus, which sounds like something I have during Yom Kippur, or if it was something new. 215 million years ago, when this crocodilomorph roamed the earth, the region that is now known as the UK was covered in a predominantly dry, arid landscape teeming with countless strange and unusual creatures. The findings help to add one more piece to the puzzle of what this prehistoric world might have looked like. Do you have a feeling that at one time just everything was prehistoric and had reptiles on it?
Yeah, duh. Yeah. And there's like spiders the size of Volkswagen Beetles. And stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
Why are we surprised then?
Yeah, no, I'm not. Matter of fact, I feel like this was satire. Because what was the name that he gave this damn thing?
Something took us. I don't know.
It was like Tori had some bad teeth and sucked a guy off or something. Like it was like it sounded like something Bart Simpson would say.
It did,
you know. Yeah. Even his name sounded like it was satire.
It did.
Like I think they are pulling our leg.
You think? Maybe. All right, we got one more here, and then our palate cleanser for the day. Aw, look at this little guy right here. I got a little.
For those of you with no eyes and just listening, it is a beautiful land beaver.
It is not a land beaver.
It is a giant land beaver.
Listen to you getting in your sexy daddy voice, going land beaver.
It has a very light chestnut
land beaver
kind of hue to it. Almost a little
hey,
damp around its fur.
Hey, baby, show me your land beaver. It's not a land beaver. That is a capybara. I have one of these in a tea cozy form. So you put tea in it, and then you put it on and he goes like this, and he hangs on the edge of your cup. He goes like this.
That's adorable.
It is. Yeah, he kind of hangs on your cup like that. But yeah, I put tea in him. It's kind of cool. That's the only thing I have in common with this capybara.
I would put coffee in it.
Well, you have to have loose coffee to put it in. This is loose tea. It's not like a tea bag. It's loose leaf tea that you put into it. And then, see, that's why it's a little tea cozy thing, you know. So you put it in his belly. See, you pop his head off, and then you put the tea in there.
How adorable.
And then you put the tea in his belly, and then you put his head back on, and then he hangs on the cup like this. And then
that's adorable.
It's the cutest thing ever. It was either that or the turtle. I got my mom the turtle, and I got the capybara.
Oh, the capybara is a win.
Nothing
like a good old land beaver.
Yes, I got a land beaver to put in my tea. So people are like, what does your tea taste like? I'm like, land beaver and strawberries. I like a little beaver in my tea. It's just picking the hair out. That's weird. An escaped capybara gives search teams the runaround in England. We're going back to England for this story. The evasive mammal managed to escape its handlers at Marwell Zoo last week and has been on the run ever since. An unexpected creature is currently on the loose in the south of England, though it fortunately poses no threat to the general public. The animal in question is a capybara. I know people are like, you're saying it wrong, Tim. It's a capybara. Capybara. The world's largest living rodent, which hails from South America and tends to spend its time in and around bodies of water, feeding on plants, or just sitting in my tea, one or the other. Two of the creatures had recently escaped Maxwell Zoo near Winchester, mere hours after arriving there from another wildlife park in Suffolk. One of them was found very quickly, but the other remains on the loose a week from its escape. So it's been on the lam.
How long before it starts shagging other rodents and creates a hybrid species?
Right. The cappy mouse. Or cappy rat. Yeah. Cappy monks.
A new hybrid species of land beaver everywhere, all throughout Suffolk.
Cappy rolls. Like capybaras and squirrels. Cappy rolls. According to the keepers, the animals need to be kept together because capybaras are social creatures, meaning that the longer they're apart, the worse things will be for them both. The elusive rodent was last seen by a dog walker along a nearby riverbank. It's like, top of the morning to you. He just...
Hey, Poppet, what you doing down here? I'm looking for cocaine sharks.
Right. I heard there was a huge mound of cocaine down there. You seen it?
So you do realise you're in England now? You're not in South America anymore.
I think there aren't Capybaras from aren't they New Zealand or Australia?
I don't know. I thought you said in the article South America. I don't remember.
Maybe it is South America. I don't
My
know.
brain already dumped it.
Well, let me look.
Look, they're a land beaver. They are wherever they want to be.
That's right. Oh, you're right. He came from South America.
Aha!
Aha!
I was paying attention.
That's right. Unfortunately, capybaras can run very quickly, very, very quickly, and make themselves pretty difficult to catch. The one on my teacup doesn't run that fast.
Are they slippery when wet?
Yes, Bon Jovi, they are. Efforts to track the animal down using thermal imaging remain ongoing. Boy, they are lazy over in England. Thermal imaging.
We got the constables up in the helicopter, and they're out there with the FLIR system looking for this wanted land beaver.
Land beaver. Come back to us, beaver.
We will not let it infiltrate our rodent population out here.
If we see him, Governor, do we throw the net on him? Do we say halt or stop?
We've set a bunch of bait traps with cheese. Rodents love cheese. It's a capybara.
Right then. Maybe we'll put out some Brazilian steak then.
Perhaps if we made a mound of cocaine.
Governor, I made him a taco. He'll love it. I put beef and cheese and tomatoes. Tomato, a bit of onion.
Perhaps if we made a hat out of aluminium.
And I made it a soft shell because a hard shell might get caught in his teeth.
Oh, I love it.
I think he's going to love it. I've made it with tender, loving care. Hello, little land beaver. Here's your taco. Beavers.
You know what might actually work is that they took the still captured capybara and put it on like a dog harness and walked it around, and maybe it could mating call the other capybara out of hiding.
Hey, Governor, if the beaver eats the taco, is it lesbianism?
But it ain't got a tail.
I don't know. Boy, it's time for a palate cleanser, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, yes.
All right. The theme of our palate cleanser is this. Slow down, young buck. Don't be so anxious. Treat it like you don't need it. What am I talking about? Here's the headline. A 15-year-old steals a bus, then drives 80 miles to pick up his girlfriend. Someone's a little desperate.
Look, little man. I know. I respect it. Game respects game.
That's right. But it's still going to be there tomorrow.
You never know. Never know. Today's youth, gone tomorrow.
Yeah. That's why the good Lord made Instagram and messaging. The teenager had seemingly managed to take the bus without anyone realizing for quite some time. I don't know how you steal a bus and no one notices, but he did it. According to reports, the bizarre incident began on March 13th when the 15-year-old, who hails from Wiesbaden in Germany, oh boy, surreptitiously snuck into a bus department and gained access to one of the master keys. He then made his way into one of the buses, started the engine, and drove it away. At first, nobody had actually realized that the bus had been stolen, instead believing that one of the drivers had simply taken the wrong vehicle by mistake. Incredibly, despite having no formal training, the boy managed to drive the bus 80 miles to Karlsruhe, where he stopped to pick up his girlfriend. Hello, baby, guess what? I got you a bus. We're going out for Wiener Schnitzel and for some beer.
Look, I mean, she can't say no at that point. Dude stole a bus for you.
You can't, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe we could get together and shag on this bus.
Look, this kid's got a career. This kid's got a career in the near future. I mean, like, look, if the local criminal syndicates don't pick him up for boosting a bus and not being noticed for quite a while, I mean, at least maybe the bus company will offer him a job for having no formal training and not getting into any accidents and making it 80 miles in a stolen bus.
Right.
And picking up his fare.
My father says I'm a go-getter.
Get in the bus now.
It's the only way out. Suffice to say, the 15-year-old's now in a lot of trouble, having been charged with a string of offenses ranging from theft of a vehicle to driving without a license. I suppose there's that. Exactly how he managed to steal the master key for the bus remains unclear, as does how he had succeeded in driving such a large vehicle more than 80 miles without incident. Well, he's mechanically inclined. Right? Some people...
If I was the judge, I would say, okay, you're going to have 2 years of community service, and that community service is to drive public transit.
Here's how I do it. You ready for this? This is how I do it. And some people are going to say, you're the biggest misogynist ever, Tim. But I'm going to tell you how I do this. I'm going to read this last line. I'm going to tell you how I rule on this case. At least he seems to have found his calling, it says here. That is, at least if anyone ever lets him get behind the wheel of a bus again. I think they will. And here's, if I'm the judge here, in this case, I say, well, here's the deal, mister. Did the two of you copulate on the bus? Did she appreciate your efforts? And if he says 9, then I say you get 15 years in the slammer. All that effort for nothing, you shall be punished. But if he says, yes, Judge, it was successful. It's good. It's all good. And I'll say, no charges. You're free to go.
No charges.
No charges. You're free to go. Good job, my man. Don't ever let this happen again. But just learn in the future, you never need to go to this extent.
I applaud the young man. I don't know. Yeah. The old cop in me. I don't know. I would have given him a pass.
Really? No license and stealing a bus?
I mean, look, sure, at a certain level, you still have to take action, right? But
yeah. You got to scare him a bit.
I would have encouraged the prosecuting attorneys to not throw the hammer at him.
Yeah.
You know, something creative. Hey, you're going to now drive city bus for the next 2 years because of this, right? Punishment fit the crime.
Yeah. Or, you know what? Yeah. Drive bus for the next 2 years. Drive old folks to their appointments for the next 2 years or something like that on weekends. Something like that, you know. But yeah, just, you know, something where the punishment fits the crime. Do something constructive with it. But
he's obviously gifted with it.
Yeah. Make it.
I don't know if I could drive a bus 80 miles without hitting anybody.
I couldn't. No. No, I'd screw it up. I'd probably flip the thing. Do you think his favorite movie is like Speed or something like that? And he just learned it from watching Keanu Reeves. You never know. Yeah. But that'll do it. That's today's program. So, Rev, what's on the docket for you in the near future?
Well, trying to take over the world.
Yes. You know how you could do it? Start bombing cocaine boats out there in the Bahamas.
Yes.
Sell you some drugged up sushi and make some money.
No, yeah, just lots and lots and lots of local Masonic things going on. Very, very busy with that.
Right on.
I have to decide very soon if I need to email one of the secretaries and say, hey, I can't make that meeting because my daughter also has a dance recital that day.
Well, you got dance dads to recruit, so you might have to do that. Yeah. So
but other than that, not much. Just being insanely beautiful and
This is truth. Yes, this is truth. Tomorrow on the big program, folks. Boy, have we got a good one. I'll tell you. By the way, I have to remind you guys of something before we leave you today. Uncle Bob is going to be in a movie. He posted on his social media that over the weekend, it's actually kind of funny. See if I can show the picture of him here. If you can see this. See that picture of him right there? Do you see what he's holding in his hand?
The Bigfoot?
Yeah, he's holding a Bigfoot cast. He's playing a doctor of cryptozoology in a new movie.
Nice.
A new independent film that's being filmed in the Wisconsin area. He says he's playing a crabby doctor of cryptozoology, which he says is typecasting, which is very funny. He sent thanks out to Dan Wheeler and Tom Thorne, who adjusted their schedules to make it happen. The new movie is coming out this fall, and he'll have details as to what it is. But it is I think the name of the movie is My Brother in Bigfoot. So I'll send you guys that way when it comes out.
And to be clear, that is not the Sasquatch Visits a Nunnery Part 11 that is also rumored
to
exist.
But, and also, Uncle Bob's podcast has moved. It's moved from the Swell format that it was on to Spotify. So I'll get that link to you guys as well, and we'll reconnect it on the Darkness Radio website. So yeah, he's moved to Spotify with the Urban Legends and Stranger Truths podcast. So we'll reconnect that on the Spotify link, so you can find him there. He's doing major numbers with that podcast too. So
nice.
Yeah. He's kind of moving up in the world. So yeah, but he's going to be in that movie, My Brother in Bigfoot. So we'll link that up when it comes out in the fall, and you can check him out there. Tomorrow on the big program, an interesting program, Travis. We've been kind of capping on AI today. I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't have capped on AI so heavy today, because tomorrow on the big program, Dr. Michael Guillen will be with us. Dr. Michael Guillen is the former science advisor for ABC News. And he's got a new movie that is out there. And let me grab the name of the movie real quick here. I believe it's called The Invisible Everywhere. Believing is Seeing. And it goes through his journey of believing strictly in science and how AI convinced him that there was more out there, how there was a God, how there's a universe, how there's an afterlife. But it took AI to convince him of that.
And I dig it. I mean, look, I'm a guy who got a legal ban from X because I convinced Grok that it was an ancient connection to Sophia and a Gnostic goddess. And then I got banned from using Grok. So I might be responsible.
But I think an incredibly interesting, it's an incredibly interesting movie. So I think you guys are really going to dig tomorrow's show. I think it's going to be one of those shows that you'll go, huh, okay. But you're talking about a guy who came from, if not a cynical point of view, a extreme skeptical point of view, and has now become a believer, and due to science and technology.
Yeah. It seems like there's a lot of that, though. A lot of these scientists and astrophysicists and, like they were agnostic or atheist forever. And then they come to the twilight of their years and then they're like, after 40 years of studying this, there has to be a divine intelligence behind it.
Well, he'll explain how science actually, He'll explain as well, and he explains in the movie how science actually has covered up all that's out there, and why science actually does divulge that there is more to the universe than what we're initially being told.
It's called magic.
I don't know that he goes that far, but yeah, that's all tomorrow. Dr. Michael Guillen, former ABC News science correspondent. So
how exciting.
Yeah. So it's a good show tomorrow. Good show. So, all right, that's going to do it for us for today. Reminder, True Crime Tuesday and Darkness Radio merchandise available. DarknessRadioshow.com in the shop. Go get it and support the show, please. Darkness Radio app for Apple will be updated probably next week or two. Be sure to keep looking at your phones for updates, or your devices, whatever you're using for that. And that's about it. So we will see you tomorrow. For Dr. Michael Guillen, for Travis Thorpe, Combat Rev, and myself, Tim Dennis, we thank you. We love you. We appreciate you. Keep rating and reviewing. Give us 5-star reviews. Keep liking and whatnot on YouTube or wherever it is you're watching this show. And we will see you tomorrow right here on the best in paranormal podcasting. You've been watching and listening to Darkness Radio.